Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to be doing the bookshelf tag, and this is something I saw on Murphy Napier's channel, so I will link to her video down in the description below. But this sounded like a lot of fun, and so I thought I would try it out. So this is shamelessly stolen from her video, but it's just in general. I've started doing these tag videos more because they seem like a lot of fun. So let's get into it. So super quick update. After I recorded this video, Rose Kate Reads actually did her own and posted and tagged me in it. So in addition, this will counter that, and I'll link her video also in the description down below. The bookshelf tag. So question one is, how many bookshelves do you have? So until very recently, the answer was 2, but I do have my new bookshelf here because I really needed another shelf. So I have my main 2, and then the old bookshelf I used to have in this area is now my overflow bookshelf, which is over yonder, away out of camera view. Question 2, how do you organize your books? So I really do on the shelves, kind of organized by series, and it's not necessarily 100% by liked best, but the Wheel of Time shelf, very important. Then you have the Sander shelf, and then I try to just kind of put other things ways that look good. So I have a lot of series. I'll do kind of a new tour at the end of this video and kind of show you everything a lot closer. Number 3, how many books do you have? So I answered that in another tag, and I'm not really sure. 100 to 200 is kind of where I am. I don't think it's much more than 200 if it's more, but I have a fair amount of books. And I keep getting more. What is the oldest book on your shelf? So if we're talking main shelf, I have I think this is from like the 60s, an older version of Return of the King. And this is 1965. So that's probably on like the main shelf. But I know I have, let me check. Found it. So this is on my overflow shelf. I had not read this, I will say, but this is, I'm sure you can't see, The Land of the Lion and the Sun by Absalom Shabazz. And this was published in 1915. 1915. Oh, this is illustrated, apparently, it says. No, there are no illustrated. I don't know. But yeah, so this is The Land of the Lion and the Sun, Personal Experiences, The Nations of Persia, Their Manners, Customs, and Their Belief. I got this either like a thrift store, flea market, garage sale, something like that. I don't actually know why. I was just picking up, I always like to look for books, and I picked this up and I'm like, that's really interesting. And it's extremely old, and so I thought, you know what, I will eventually try to read this. Stuff like this is, I like to pick up. I don't always necessarily read. I've had this for years, I will say, but definitely something I think would be interesting to do at that point. You know, this is well over 100 years old at this point, and actually still in decent condition for all that. So modern paperbacks, I don't know, your problem sometimes. But so yeah, that would be probably the oldest overall. What's the newest? Rhythm of War would be the newest, because that just came out late last year. So I don't think I have anything newer than that. I know Murphy on her video did oldest book on your shelf and newest book on your shelf. So that would be, I'm not really sure what the oldest was. The newest book, I just bought several books, but we'll get to those in a haul video. So I was just going oldest and newest by publication date. That's what I decided. Then we have number 6, which is what is the longest. So I did just answer that in another video as well. That came out not too long ago. Count of Monte Cristo is the longest. If we're going by page count, it's 1,276 pages when you include the footnotes. And so until I get to Green Angel Tower, that one should be longer from the sound. The shortest. So I actually had to check because I really was not sure what the shortest book I had was. What that ended up actually being. Here we go. Morrigu the Dead. This is book 2 of Morrigu. Also, this is the last book. This is by Mark C. Perry, and this was this odd series that was recommended to me. and it's been out of print for a really long time, but I was able to find, I actually don't have the first book anymore. I think I must have borrowed the first book, but I was able to find the book 2, and they've been out of print for a really long time, but I found online. And this is like the most action-packed kind of Dungeons Dragons-y feeling type fantasy with all kinds of different creatures. It was kind of this crazy, crazy book, and only 2 books ever came out. The author ended up changing his name, moving out of the country, and actually died a number of years ago before writing the rest. Mostly because until later in his life, he didn't actually know anyone cared and wanted to read the rest. But it kind of had a cult following. So if you've heard of this, let me know. It'd be interesting. But yeah, I looked at this Morgu the Dead book 2, and this is just over 202 pages. I don't actually have anything shorter than this that I know of that's in the main shelves. I haven't checked the overflow shelf, so it could be, but pretty short. Also, just like, a series that a lot of people probably haven't heard of, but Morgu. When was this originally published? So this is book 2, 1990 for book 2. So book 1 would have been sometime in the 80s. I'm not sure specifically, but yeah, not even that old, but just interesting tidbit there for Morgu. What's the predominant genre on your bookshelves? I think you can tell if you see me. It's fantasy. There is not any book on these 2 shelves that's not at least somewhat fantasy. I do have some non-fantasy books, but they're on the other shelf. The main nice display shelf. It's fantasy. It's what I read. It's what I do. Fantasy. Have you done a book tour? Is question number 9. So I did one before, and I will link that in the description below to my old book tour, but I am going to do, spoiler alert for the last question is to show you the bookshelves, so I'll do another kind of tour at that point, because it's actually very different from the book tour because I did not have this shelf at the time that I did that. So, coming up at the end, number 10 is to go to a random number generator and get a book, or talk about a book that relates to that number. So this is where I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do this. What I'm deciding arbitrarily is we're going to start New Spring as number 1. We'll go down to the 4th shelf. There's a bottom shelf with kind of a bit more miscellaneous stuff. We'll go down to the 4th shelf, and then we'll start with Gardens of the Moon on the next shelf from there, and we'll kind of figure out. So I will get that random number, and we will see. Okay, so I did between 1 and 200, estimating, and I got 80. So let's see what's 80. Of course it's my luck, so I get to number 80, which did not leave the first shelf. So I think 200 was fair. And that is The Wounded Land, which is book 2 of the second Chronicles of Thomas Covenant trilogy, which I have not read. I read the first Chronicles of Thomas Covenant, the first trilogy, which is over in this lovely box set. And I did reviews for all of these. This is actually one of, it's a classic series. I had never read any of it, and it is so good. And Donaldson is such a good author, and so that's actually all I've read by him, but I bought the second trilogy pretty shortly after finishing the first, so I don't really want to spoil anything with this, but let's just, okay, I'm going to read the back. We'll do that. 4,000 years have passed since Covenant first freed the land from the devastating grip of Lord Val and his minions. The monstrous force of evil has regained its power once again, warping the very fabric and balance of the land. Armed with his stunning white gold, wild magic, Covenant must battle not only terrifying external forces, but his own capacity for despair and devastation. His quest to save the land from ultimate ruin is as exciting and heroic as ever. So there you go. I wish it would have been a book that I had read so I could talk about it, but that shows you it was truly random. I would not have chose this, not because I'm sure it'll be good, but it's just I haven't actually read it, so it's hard to talk about it. So number 11, do you have any decorations or fan merch? And not really. The only thing I have, which I'll get a closer look once we're there. I actually moved it because I just set up the other shelf. But I'll show you. I have a couple of real-time things that I set up here. But I don't really do much for decoration. I've seen some really, really cool stuff other people have that I do like. It's just not something that I've done. And so finally we have number 12, which is show you the shelves. So let's do that. All right, so in case you didn't see the last bookshelf tour or waiting to watch after, do have this nice, cool custom wheel time shelf with this. And the other cool thing is the symbols going down the side here, all custom made. We have the Wheel of Time, of course, on the top shelf. Here are the couple of Wheel of Time things I have up here that I mentioned. The Sander shelf, of course, which is all branded Sanderson, which mostly fits. And then we have, with the new design here, we have Abercrombie, and then Dragonbone Chair, Black Company, Good Omens, The Faithful Fallen, Predominant, Crown of Stars. Go down to here, we have Dresden, some more Kate Elliott, Discworld, and then there is some more Donaldson and Lord of the Rings, and then some R.A. Salvatore over there. Mostly miscellaneous down here. Just books I haven't really sorted yet, and that's why they're there. Just a lot of that stuff I haven't do a long time. Next shelf, we start with Malazan on the top shelf. I apparently need to buy at least one more Esselmont book to have this fit. I just haven't read those as much as the Erickson ones. We have Lightbringer and Night Angel, Licanius, and the Band series. We have the first Thomas Covenant trilogy, and it looks like Liza Locke-Lamora has slipped back in there. But Gentlemen Bastards, Mark Lawrence, Area That Needs to Grow, Robin Hobb, Area That Needs to Grow, Demon Cycle, and then we have Broken Earth, the Durand series. My first book still out. There'd be one more there. We have the 5 Warrior Angels, a couple of Dragonlance. That's the original Dragonlance Dragon series, and then the 4th book, Cycle of Fire, some Shannara. And then a new feature of this shelf I have down here in the bigger section. This is my physical TBR. So these are all books that I do plan on getting to. It's always growing and changing, but, oh, actually, Count of Monte Cristo doesn't go there. I've read that many a time because that was just there from in a video earlier. But so there's that. And then we have the overflow bookshelf. That's got some records and stuff there. And then I set up the books there. There's actually very few in that section there. And then just kind of the overflow books. There's that you can see there's a blank spot there. That's where Count Monte Cristo goes. We'll just put it right here for now and get to it later. But that is the bookshelf. Alright, so that is the bookshelf tag. Once again, Murphy's video, or who I got this from, is down below in the description. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it, and if you want to see more of my content, make sure to subscribe.